Hi, everybody, and welcome to ChatGPT and AI to price with confidence for accounting professionals. My name is Hector Garcia, and I'm doing this webinar in collaboration with CPA Academy and Anchor. You can check out the live slides if you want to follow along or download the PDF version of the slides. Either one can work with you. We're going to be doing some slide work and then also some live demo work. Table of contents, we're going to talk about this series. I've actually been doing a series of AI videos in CPA Academy for the past 2 years. So we'll talk about where you can watch some of the old recordings, talk about myself really quick, about Reframe, my organization, and about Anchor. Then we're going to talk about pricing philosophy. So this is, what are we selling, right? So we're going to kind of go backwards a little bit, think about high-level thought process when it comes to how do I price my services and what exactly are we selling. Then we'll talk about like our business model, so essentially how we are selling it. And lastly, pricing strategy, which is how does pricing position us in the marketplace. Then after we talk about that and we discuss what that means or what that could mean and some examples on how you can think about that for your own firm prior to sort of just throwing stuff into ChatGPT. Then we'll go into ChatGPT and then add some of the pricing strategies and philosophies that we discussed, and then asked it to help us price services. So hopefully this will become something that is very useful and tangible for you, especially in a new year, 2025. What is this gonna look like next year as you think about making your prices, improving your whole price model. The next slide has links to all the most recent ChatGPT and AI related webinars for accountants that are archived in CPA Academy. So if this is like your first one ever, you may want to go back because there's going to be some fundamental things that you need to learn about AI. So there will be a little bit of advanced content and some basic content, but for the most part, it would be advanced content. But myself, I'm a CPA. I have a bookkeeping and tax practice down in Miami. I've had it since 2019. I have a YouTube channel. There's a link for that. I'm the founder of Right Tool for QuickBooks Online. It's an add-on for QuickBooks. And I'm the co-host of Reframe Accounting Events. Check out my email if anything wasn't covered during the last presentation. If you see any issues where you think that something should have been covered or you have ideas for the next webinar, send me an email. Don't worry about it. I answer all my emails, most of them. The other piece I wanted to share with you is I do run conferences too. I'm having my conference in Miami. Reframe 2025 will be in November in Miami. It's currently sold out. We have 150 deposits. That's the maximum capacity of the conference. But we're going to announce the exact date and the exact venue at the beginning of 2025. And then when that gets announced, a few people cancel. So we are already bringing people into the waiting list. So if you're interested to know, if you're interested to have information about the conference, if spots open up, go ahead and use the link on the waiting list. And then as soon as we publish the exact date and location, we will have some spots open up, and then we're going to be offering people in order as the waiting list gets created. Okay. All right. I want to say thank you to Anchor. Anchor is actually the proposal management software that we use in our practice to present pricing options and packages to our clients. We use Anchor to send the proposals, get clients to agree, send the invoice automatically, charge automatically, and when the client needs to cancel their subscription with us or they need to request a scope of work change, we do all that stuff with Anchor. So I'm going to strongly encourage to check them out. Okay, so there's the link to Anchor is in the slides. If you have any questions about that, put that in the Q&A section. Okay, so let's go to pricing philosophy. So I've thought pretty deeply about what pricing philosophy is, and it's not pricing strategy. Is going backwards and thinking, what exactly am I pricing? What is the service that I'm offering? And there's different types of philosophy. So one is we price effort, right? So like I'm going to put a price to the amount of work I'm going to do. Other people think, no, we should price the task. And this is one of those things that very commonly you see for tax preparers where they say, well, the 1040 is $300, but if you add a Schedule E, is $25, and if you add a Schedule C, it's another $100, and if we add your foreign income exclusion, it's another $200. So like that menu style fixed pricing based on form is probably the best example we can use for pricing the task. The other school of thought here is you price the job. Like take a look at the holistic thing. Take a look at what is the entire thing that you're doing, not just the task or the aggregate of tasks, but the whole job as a whole, and what does the whole job achieve, and price that. Okay, and remember, the more we go down the scale, the longer the sales process takes, the more thinking that you have to give to the price, the more conversations about value you have to have with your customers. So essentially, the reason why lawyers and accountants do so much of the hourly rates is because it takes no thinking, right? So I already know I charge $250 an hour. I tell my client it's $250 an hour, and it's easy, right? So I get how easy it is. The problem is, well, there's all sorts of problems with it, which we'll discuss in a little bit. But as we kind of sort of go down in the value ladder, or go up the value ladder, so we go down the list here, the sales process will be slowed down. So I want to make sure that you're warned about that, so to speak, because that's one of the drawbacks of going up the value chain, is slowing down the sales process. The next one is pricing the customer, which is, it's not the job, it's the customer. And the customer could indicate, right, that they want a more premium service because the customer has personal preferences, or the customer itself wants high level of involvement, or the customer itself wants low level of involvement, or the customer is a price shopper, or the customer is a value shopper. All those things matter for pricing. So if your philosophy is, it doesn't matter how much effort I put, doesn't matter what the tasks are, doesn't matter what the whole job is, what matters is who the customer is. And that's something to think about, because that's one of the pricing philosophies. The other one is pricing a guaranteed outcome. One of my favorites, which is you find out with your customer, what do you want out of this? What's the outcome that you want? What's the value that you get out of it? And if I guarantee it, if I can guarantee that outcome, then could you pay me this price? And if I can't get you that outcome, you pay me a portion of that price, or you pay nothing, or you get a refund, whatever it is. So that's pricing the guaranteed outcome. And the last one is pricing the relationship, right? So pricing the relationship is not just thinking about the transaction now, it's thinking about every transaction you've had in the past, thinking about every transaction you have in the future, thinking about what it means to be affiliated with this customer. Like I've had customers that have brought me more customers, not because they refer them, just because working, they gave me an into a particular industry or something like that. So you think about pricing the relationship. It's a much more complex and kind of like, ethereal, esoteric way of thinking. But that's, like Ron Baker, one of my mentors, that's what he says. That's what you should be focusing on, pricing the customer. Now, your level of expertise, Danny's asking, how does your level of expertise fit in here? It fits in everything and it fits in nothing because the level of expertise changes the quality of the work, right? That's what expertise does. It changes the quality of the work. It changes the speed of the work. It lowers the risk of the work being done incorrectly. That's what expertise does. But that's very inward focused, like how good I am, how much of an expert I am, how many years of experience I have. That is technically, for the most part, irrelevant to pricing philosophy. Now, the better you are, the more expensive your services should be. We agree on that. But this has to do with how you are, with how you think about pricing. And there are rules around pricing for accountants that could be a challenge. Like for example, if you were to price a financial audit based on a guaranteed outcome, saying if I guarantee you a clean audit, you pay me this much. Obviously, that would be unethical. That doesn't work. Or if I guarantee you a bigger tax refund, you can pay me more, or something like that. Obviously, you can't do that. So I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that you should be breaking rules and ethical context here. I'm just saying, philosophically speaking, how do you think? What are you pricing? What are we pricing? Okay, we don't price our expertise. We price our outcome. Our expertise is actually irrelevant if your customer can't take advantage of them. Okay, just because I'm an expert on subject matter ABC, but if the customer doesn't take any advantage of that, that's irrelevant to the customer. So we have to truly think about to try to be a little bit more customer sided. So the first two, pricing the effort and pricing the task, are mostly focused on internal, like how good you are, how fast you are, how great you are, how much effort you put. Whereas, guaranteed outcome relationship and the customer is more customer focused. So that's how I want you to think about these two. Now, if you go through the slides, I've actually broken down every single one of these and added what I think the pro and con for each pricing philosophy is. Now, this is content. It wasn't meant for me to go through each slide and read it to you. This is content for you to read later. But also what's really cool about this is it's also content that you can copy and paste into ChatGPT as you pick one of these pricing philosophies and say, hey, this is the pricing philosophy that I want, maybe modify it a little bit, throw it into ChatGPT and say, based on this, I want you to help me price something. So I created the baseline content for you that you can use for building your prompts in the future. And if that's a new concept for you, we'll see exactly what that looks like. So every single slide for each of the pricing philosophies goes into what is it, what's the pro and con for each one. So go ahead and go back and check that. Now I'm going to throw one thing in there, which is actually one of my favorite pieces of thought leadership when it comes to pricing. And you can, in fact, literally copy and paste this into ChatGPT and say, hey, I am going to use this technique, Ron Baker's 7 T's for pricing options, to come up with options. I will actually literally copy and paste this into ChatGPT and have it help us build pricing options based on this, especially if you're going to go fixed pricing or value-based pricing. So the theory here is that if a client asks you to do a piece of work, cleaning up last year's books or monthly bookkeeping or a tax return, whatever it is, the work is the work. The task is the task. The job is the job. Don't focus too much on what the job or the task is. Focus mostly on the service delivery, how the client expects you to do the work, how they expect the service delivery to come into fruition. And this will vary based on the 7 T's. So 1 T is tailoring. So for example, a client wants a tax return, but they want a high degree of customization of the service delivery. They want the service to be tailored to them. So one example is, let's say that you have a policy that you take a client on. They must use the portal to submit documents, right? And that's, if people use the portal to submit documents, you're not tailoring your process to them. They're tailoring their process to you. But if one particular client says, nope, I don't work that way, you have to call my lawyer and get this document, or you have to go to my Dropbox and get that document, or you have to physically come to my office and pick up this document, or I will bring you a shoebox or a folder with the documents for you to then scan and interpret or whatever. So that's the client asking for you to tailor your services to them. The theory here is that the tax return is the tax return. But if the client is asking a high level of tailoring, then you get to increase the price, right? Or not just increase the price, but give them options. So then when they see the different options, do they want to pay a premium service for you to highly tailor your processes to them? Yes. Or they say, you know what, you're right. I won't make you to do all that. I want to pay the lower rate. And the customer will completely capitulate and go to your process, your portal. Now, the more modern the firm, the less tailoring will happen, right? Because the most modern firms just look for, a high tech and using a particular workflow. But some of the firms that like to create more of a bespoke relationship or a bespoke workflow, all I'm saying is if you are that firm, just think about pricing that a little bit higher, especially if that's going to make you work a little bit more, so to speak. Now, there's also talent, right? So does the customer want a specific person from your team to be there, right? Like, no, it's got to be you, Hector, that does the return. It's got to be you who explains the return to me. No, it's got to be you who receives the documents. No, it's got to be you who answers the phone call. It's got to be you who answers the email. So when your customers are specifying the specific talent group of people in your firm that have to do the work or show up in person or whatever, or be in the Zoom call, then you get to do price variability based on that because you don't have a choice to pick from your the most available person. You have to force yourself and contort your process to match the client's talent requirements. These law firms deal with this stuff all the time, right? Technology is another one. So are we adding a cost of technology? Does the customer have old technology? So for example, let's say we have a bookkeeping firm that specializes on QuickBooks Online. 90% of their clients, they have a very common workflow to accessing their QuickBooks, right? They get invited, they log in, they have the QuickBooks Online accountants portal, all the clients in one place, beautiful. Let's say this particular client is a client that you want to help, but they don't want to move from QuickBooks Desktop or some other custom desktop system, and you have to physically go to their office or remote into it, and everybody has to get out. You have to be in single user mode. Think about what technology requirements that the client requires you to use or don't want to use the technology that you prefer, how that changes and creates more effort to you. Again, the bookkeeping work is the same work, right? So whether you're doing QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop, it's essentially the same work. The outcomes are the same, right? You're going to give them clean books, but how you go about delivering can change the price. The other one is terms. So if the client's paying up front, the client's paying at the end, if they're paying a piece now, a piece later, if there's a refund policy, right? Do they pay a percentage of a work of completion? Do they pay with a credit card? Do they pay with cash? Do they pay every month on the first of the month? Do they pay a month in advance? All those factors can change the pricing, and this is what Ron Baker puts in his book, Implementing Value Pricing. Says stop so much focusing on the job and task, and think mostly about how the customer wants the work delivered. The other one is transference of knowledge. So are we transferring knowledge to the customer? Basically, are we educating the customer? Are we training the customer? Are we? It's not just doing the work, but explaining to the client what the work is, right? So, and that takes a lot more time, and that should be priced in. And the last one is travel, right? So, and this was written prior to COVID. There was a lot more travel. So including the costs or premiums for time and expenses associated with travel to the client's location. But because there isn't that much travel before post-COVID, then we're going to call this transference of costs. So our costs being transferred to us to be able to serve our clients. So are we paying for the QuickBooks subscription? Are we paying for the tax software, per client or whatever? Are we paying? So what costs are being transferred to us as part of this engagement? So this is actually really cool, and we're actually going to use this in ChatGPT to come up with some service packages, which you're going to find this to be really neat. Okay. So again, you go back to the slides and see each of the pricing philosophies in there. Okay. So we're going to move on and let's talk about the business model. So there's a couple of business model options here, and there's more than one. I mean, there's more than four, I think, but these are conceptually where most of accounting professionals think about their business model. So one is to charge for an hourly rate based on time. The other one is to do a fixed price, which is menu-based. And there's a big difference between a menu-based fixed price and value-based fixed price. And a lot of accounting pros have a challenge understanding the differences. So let me explain what I think the difference between a menu-based fixed price and a value-based fixed price. So a menu-based fixed price is when the pricing is set before or without the need of a value conversation. So this is often tailored to the unique. It can still be tailored to the unique needs and outcomes, but the customer chooses it. The customer chooses it. The value conversation is to tailor to the unique needs of outcomes when people choose things off a menu per se. And like the tax return example I gave before, it's a fixed price menu based. That's not a value-based pricing. Value-based pricing is when you price after a value conversation. The value conversation is is based on the perceived value of services after you have a tailored and unique needs and outcomes based price. So it's whether the value conversation is happening and whether the value conversation is affecting the price. Okay. So for example, if somebody calls you and says, "Hey, I need this type of work. How much do you charge?" And you say something like, "We charge $250 an hour." The work that you're telling me is somewhere between 20 and 30 hours. Let's set up a call to see if we can estimate it correctly. And then you set up a call and you do a diagnosis and you estimate it and you go back and say, "You know what? I think this is going to take about 40 hours. And then you end up giving them an estimate fixed price. Well, that's actually neither menu-based price, no value-based price. That was just straight hourly price, right? So the value conversation is not about how long it will take me to do. It's about what the customer gets out of the outcome from the work that I'm doing. And I'm going to be more in the camp of value-based pricing. And as a matter of fact, especially the firms that want to ultra modernize, I'm going to be even more in the camp of subscription-based pricing, and mostly on the value-based subscription-based pricing, which is offering recurring services, continuous transformation for a flat monthly fee or annual fee tied to a menu of services that has been custom tailored to the client. And I use Anchor for that, which is actually a great solution for that. Okay. The last piece before we jump into ChatGPT on the conceptual concepts is pricing strategies. So you really need to be cognizant that how you price sets up your position in the marketplace. And there are many pricing strategies, but the three that I think are mostly relevant for accounting pros are penetration pricing, competitive pricing, and skim pricing. So penetration pricing is when you offer a low price to attract as many clients as possible, build market share, build a portfolio, and be as competitive as possible, be cheaper than everybody else, and in some cases have maybe even a loss leader, right? Something you lose money on to bring customers under, and then in the future somehow try to increase those prices, which is very hard, by the way, very difficult. But many companies have done that. The other one is the one that most of us do or did. I don't do that, but it's competitive pricing, which is find out how much people charge. Like even in the polling question, somebody asked me, what does an average CPA in Texas with 10 years of experience charge? It's like, okay, that's just competitive pricing. Like, why would you want to be sort of like muddled in the middle of everybody in the middle, right? So a lot of accounting pros don't want to stand out. They don't want to be the lowest or they want to be the highest. So they just kind of want to be, they want to be known as we're super competitive in the marketplace. And then the one that I use, absolutely our firm does, is skim pricing, which is we charge a premium price because we aim to target high value clients. Now, high value clients are not always high net worth. It's a different conversation. High value means a client that we can provide high value for. Now, it doesn't mean that they make more money than the average client. It just means that what we do for them is more valuable for them. That's a true definition of high value customers, which means you have to have a target customer, which you have to have a very well defined specialty, and you have to have a very well defined why you do what you do and why people should hire you type of thing. So we're mostly focused on the value portion of it, so we want to do skim pricing. There are some supporting strategies that can modify any of these strategies, which is a dynamic pricing modifier. This is where you adjust prices based on demand. So, for example, if a client requests a tax return after February 15th and they want it done by March 15th, that's going to have a boost in price. Just like when you book a flight last minute, it will be more expensive, even though it's the exact same seat. It doesn't cost the airplane any more money or any less money. And as a matter of fact, airlines prefer to run an empty seat, believe it or not, than to underprice that empty seat to basically send a signal, a positioning signal, that you can game the system and just book a last minute flight. That's why it seems very inefficient and illogical the way the airlines do it. But the airlines do dynamic pricing, where they say you're going to pay based on how much preparation or how much procrastination you did for this flight. And there's also bundle pricing, which is where you have maybe one product that's priced at penetration or loss leader, and then it's bundled with a product that's skimmed price. So that's actually a very interesting one. I know a firm that doesn't charge for tax returns. They say, hey, we only charge for bookkeeping and advisory. And if you do bookkeeping and advisory for the whole year, tax return is free. So total penetration pricing on tax returns, totally decommoditize the tax return or commoditize it, or whichever way you want to see it. But as long as you are in our advisory plan, you pay nothing for the tax return. So those little tricks work really well to change perceptions of value. Okay, so let's go into ChatGPT. And what I really wanted to do, again, is give you enough information, enough data on the slides that you can use it to build your own custom GPT. So I'm going to open ChatGPT now, and I'm just going to start a new chat, and I'm just going to go very simple, and I'm gonna tell ChatGPT what I want. So I'm going to use voice, so I don't have to type. I found that to be much better than typing. So I'm going to use voice. And hey, ChatGPT, I have an accounting firm, and I have some challenges pricing. As a matter of fact, I've been doing pricing by the hour, about $125 an hour, and I do the work really well. My clients are very happy. However, I do want to transition to more a value-based approach, and I don't know how to position it. So can you please help me figure out how to position value-based pricing when I'm transitioning from an hourly-based pricing? Okay, so then I'm going to hit send, and I just basically just talk to ChatGPT in this case, and then it's going to give me the information here. So let's see what it gives me. So it's going to be this. It's going to show me the exact same thing, but it says focus on outcomes, not hours. Ask the right questions, and there's a couple of ideas of really good questions you can give. So stuff like, what are your biggest financial pain points, or how much is it worth for you to have clean, reliable books every month? Or what would it mean to your business if you had actionable insights into profitability, right? And then it says, reframe your services. So bundle your services around value. So there's, for example, annual cleanup of accurate financials. It's actually giving you the name of the title of the service to reframe it a little bit as just beyond just cleanup, right? So it says ensuring your books are accurate, et cetera, et cetera. So another option says package your services. So create an essentials, proactive and strategic level services. And then, essentials could just be cleanup, and proactive could be monthly bookkeeping after the cleanup and quarterly insights. And the strategic could be advisory services for long-term growth. And then there's also communicate the shift. So it says here, explain to the clients why this approach is better for them. So stuff like, predictable pricing with no surprises, clear deliverables tied to outcomes of value. And then there's developing pricing anchors, no pun intended. Instead of charging $125 an hour for 40 hours, which is $5,000, position cleanup as a flat fee, emphasizing peace of mind of having a reliable starting point. Okay. So basically the prompt was this right here that I literally just said out loud, and it read for me. So I'll leave it on the screen here if you want to take a screenshot or whatever. You have it up there so you can use it later. So this gives you basically a good starting point or some ideas that you can think about. So after it gives me the answer, I'm actually going to ask it to help me build a prompt to create a custom chatbot. Okay, and I'm also going to go sort of one step further, and I'm going to go into the Ron Baker's 7 T's of pricing options. I'm going to copy and paste this into ChatGPT, and I'm going to say, I want to create packages based on Ron Baker's 7 T's. And I'll just copy and paste this here. Boom. And I basically copy and paste it for the slides. And I'm feeding the chatbot even more information for it to start creating its thing. And then it starts giving you some ideas. And again, we haven't gotten to scope and all those details. We're going to get to that in a second. But it just gives you an idea of how it already starts helping you put something together, right? So ChatGPT is usually summarizes what you told it just to make sure it understands what you did. So for example, it gives me an example of tailoring. So how would tailoring change within the context of the 3 packages? So in an essential packages, you would just do standardized services, basic bookkeeping and cleanup. In an enhanced package, it would include some custom workflows, specialized reports, some dashboards maybe. And then Elite would include some fully bespoke financial analysis, scenario modeling, and that sort of thing. So it's just an example. And I can give it more context. I can select tailoring here just by itself. And I can say, and I can write, this could also be based on how the customer asks us to change our process to comport with theirs, with their requirement. Okay, requirements. Okay, so I can just select a little piece and basically add a little piece of context So then it knows that it needs to change it a little bit. And then again, that's how you would be doing that. And then it's actually going to give you some examples of that. So for example, in an essential package, there's going to be a minimal process adaptation. And we're just kind of going deep into one of these. And it shows you some examples here. So for example, say, we'll use a proven system to reconcile your books and deliver a standard financial report. Okay. But then, an enhanced package would change a little bit of the verbiage, right? You would say something like, if you need reports tailored to prefer the format that you need, right? So you need it in Excel or whatever, requires us to use internal project management system to track deliverables, and we will adapt that as part of our package. So it's actually started to walk you through how to have those conversations. So at the end, I'm going to say, okay, I'm actually going to tell it, okay, now I'm going to create a custom chatbot that is actually going to take into consideration particular scope requirements from my customer. So I want you to create a prompt based on everything we talked about, so I can create a new chatbot that contains the prompt on how I create packages, and then I'm going to add to that more details regarding scope and prices and that sort of thing. Okay, so I basically say that and I send that. So now am I literally asking ChatGPT to create my prompt? So based on the initial conversation, the stuff that I pasted, the modifications I made, then I ask it to give me the prompt. So when I create a custom chatbot, it gives me a good starting point. So here's the actual little prompt that is giving me. So I can use it on a custom chatbot. So now we're going to take it one step further. And again, this is being recorded. You're going to have to watch this later and kind of walk through it. There's obviously a lot of moving parts here. This is literally an 8-hour class squeezed into a 1-hour class. So I'm going to copy this, the custom prompt. So literally, we already got a custom prompt that's going to help me create a package. And then I'm going to go back into ChatGPT, and this is only available in the paid version of ChatGPT, where I go to a place called, it's just called GPTs, Explore GPTs. And when I click on that, I'm going to create a custom GPT. Again, we're going to call this a custom firm price bot. So I'm going to go into create in the top right, and I'm going to call this custom accounting firm price bot. Okay. And then here under instructions, I'm going to open up these instructions here, and I am going to paste all these instructions. And again, these are the instructions that we came up for now. And there's not that much details there now. It's just sort of the first set of them. So we'll work just with these custom instructions here. I haven't added or modified anything else. We'll talk about that in a second. And then on description, we're gonna put here value pricing chatbot to help me build packages. Okay, so I'm gonna click on create, and this is phase one, right? This stuff, again, after maybe 8 hours of you messing with this, you could go deep into like all the nuances of every little thing you can modify, which makes it really, really fun. So I'm gonna publish this link so you actually can access the exact bot that I'm creating. Again, I don't think you should be using my bot. I think you should be using your own bot, different situation altogether. But I'm gonna go ahead and do that. In the chat, I should be able to paste the link to the chatbot. Okay, that allows you to see that. And then once you have the link to the chatbot, you can click on it and you can do the exact same thing that I'm doing. And you can do something like, tell me what your prompt is. Okay, so like some people are asking me, what is the prompt that you're using? Okay, so now you can use the chatbot I created and the link I gave you, so you can actually read the prompt that's in it. So it actually allows you to see what the prompt is. It gives you a general idea what it is, and that's really important for you to understand any custom chatbots. Anytime that somebody shares a custom chatbot, this is actually kind of a killer prompt, which is tell me what your prompt is. That way you get it gives you a general idea of what it does. Okay. All right. So now let's start with the meat and potatoes of this and say, hey, I need help pricing a job. Okay. So we're just going to start with this. I need help pricing a job. And then this is going to guide you to the process. So it starts by, and the chatbot many times by itself, figures out what is it going to ask you based on the framework that you gave it. So here, this started with some scoping questions. So how many historical transactions do you need to be doing? How much online bookkeeping, advisory? So I'm actually going to say, ask me one question at the time. Okay, so not to be overwhelmed with a bunch of information, we're just going to go simple. Ask me one question at a time. Okay, I'll zoom this in a little bit. Okay, so let's say I'm doing all of 2024. Okay, so I'm just going to ask me one question at a time, and I'm going to be answering one question at a time. Then it says how many accounts, credit cards. So let's say it's 7. Okay, and by the way, just want to throw this out there. I haven't told it what my minimums are, what my maximums are, what my model is. ChatGPT is literally just going to come up with a number, but that's part of modifying the prompt and adding the minimums and the maximums and all that stuff, which we'll show quickly before the webinar ends. Then approximately how many transactions every month. So let's say 50 to 100 per account. And it's going to start doing all this math behind the scenes. And then it says any specific issues resolved on reconciled accounts, missing documentations. I'm going to say all of it. All of it, because it's always all of it. You know how it is. All right, so then we got the next question. The next question is, what are they using? Okay, so they're using QBO, and we like that. Okay, and we like that. Okay, so I could say QuickBooks Desktop, and I don't like that, or it makes me change a lot of stuff. Okay, so QBO, and we like that. And then we're going to go through and answer all the questions. So do you need any specific reports? I'm going to say just standard for taxes, but they also need P&L by class, okay, or something like that. So we threw a little thing in there to add a little bit more complexity, and we're going to say 4 weeks. Okay, so it's 4 weeks, the deadline. Okay, good. So now it's now sort of like the next question is, do you want ongoing bookkeeping services? I would say monthly and as an option. Okay, so monthly as an option will be the last one. And then it should have enough information to start. Okay, it's asking me more questions. I figured it would have enough. So do you need any training for your team? And I'm going to say first 6 months will be a lot of training, 3 months light training, and then maybe once a year. Okay, so it starts using the context of, the beginning is more expensive than at the end. How does the client prefer to collaborate? They would say mostly email. Okay, mostly email. And let's see if there's any more questions. Okay, there we go. So now it's doing the summary. So here's the summary that you want to clean up all of 2024, 7 accounts, 300 or 700 transactions a month. There are some missing documentations, standard tax reports, and a P&L by class. So it does what's called a split screen, which is really cool. It's called the canvas. And what it does is put the chat on the left-hand side and prepares the document on the right-hand side so you can make any modifications that you want. So now it's saying the essentials package is saying it's 4,500. The enhanced package is 6,800. And the elite package is 9,200. And I can actually go in there and say, I want the lowest to be 3,000, but reduce some scope components. Okay, so I literally just said, hey, I want the lowest to be 3,000, reduce some scope components. In real time, it'll go out there and change the document, the proposal document for you, change some scope components. Maybe there's no ongoing bookkeeping, updates are only via email, deliver time within seven weeks, and then here's a couple of more options. And then I can say let's use the 7 T's from Ron Baker. Ask me some questions and tailor the proposal. Okay, so again, it has that in the original. It has it in the knowledge. If you go to ChatGPT now and in a vacuum and you ask it about Ron Baker 7 T's, it doesn't know what that is. Like, that's actually a content from the book specifically. So he's telling me here the ideas. Okay, then I'm gonna say, and it's doing them again. It's doing them as a bunch of questions, overwhelming. And I'm just gonna say one question per T, and one at the time. Okay, and then so we're asking it not to overwhelm us with, so much information. So let's go tailoring. Any specific custom layouts? Yes, on the high package, add custom reports. Okay, and then you start, feeding it the information, so then it knows, and in real time, the document on the right-hand side is actually going in there and changing that scope, that piece of scope. So, and it's so important to not just go into ChatGPT and just start telling it to do things. It is important to sort of study conceptually pricing philosophy, pricing strategy, positioning, because that's going to help you manipulate ChatGPT and get it close to what you want. And like one of the challenges that people have is they just want ChatGPT to give them an answer and that's it. Out of scope is such an important concept in the accounting world, and I believe that creating packages that explain the scope of work and have scalability up and down, it's what helps you deal with awkward out of scope conversations. So the reason why out of scope conversations don't get awkward when you have packages is because if the client picks the middle package and they ask for out of scope, then you can say, hey, it looks like you want to upgrade, right? So instead of saying, Mr. Customer, wrong, you ask for an out of scope and make it an awkward conversation, you can say, awesome, it looks like you want to upgrade to our elite package that would include that. And that's the magic of having packages, especially when your customer picks the middle package. That's really, for the most part, that's what you want. You want the customer to pick the middle package. So there's always an option for you to be able to do the out of scope work without making it weird, but just having the client naturally upgrade to the next package, just like with Netflix or whatever, right? So you got too many devices connected to Netflix, you can pay one more and you can add more devices, right? So that sort of thing, right? It's to make it easy, to make it simple to do this. All right. So the point is, once you build the chatbot, you can continue to tailor and customize. And again, this Ron Baker 7 T's is an excellent one. You can have it ask questions. You can do all that. But let's say that my proposal is ready. Okay. Now, most of us traditionally just go in there and copy and paste this thing into an email. What I do is I use a proposal software. So I'm going to show you how I do this with Anchor. So I have a demo account here that I'm going to show you like what this looks like in the real world. So generally what I do is I want to create a proposal that contains those pricing components. So I'm going to go into services first, and then I'm going to go. Notice I have a menu of services here. So when we construct packages, we sometimes we do it based on so many different things. But I'm going to create a new service in this case, and I'm literally just going to go into ChatGPT, and then I'm going to go into here and just copy essentials package, and we can go in here and just go boom, essentials package, right? Simple. And then we can come in here and then copy and paste the scope of work. Boom. And then go in here and do essentials package. There we go. And then I can do, this is a one-time $3,000. You could also play with the discount, something we can discuss a little bit later on. But this is the essentials package, right? So I'm going to click on save. And then I'm going to go and create a new service. And then I'm just going to copy and paste, let's say, the enhanced package. So I come in here, copy enhanced package. Okay. Now I've talked to my friends over at Anchor, and I showed them a demo of this, and they say, "Holy crap! I think we need to integrate ChatGPT into Anchor so you can do all this stuff inside Anchor." So when that shows up, that's gonna be pretty incredible. And then we can come in here and what was it, 6,800. So I'm gonna put here 7,500, and then I'm gonna put a discount. So what I'm just kind of doing is I'm just kind of playing with the features here, where you can actually display something as a discount, so it looks like a better deal. And then we go to save here, and then we'll come back and go into the elite package. Okay, and that's 9,200. And then we go back in here, create one more service, and we'll do elite package and copy and paste this in there, boom. And then this was 9,200, but then we're gonna make this 11,000 minus whatever the difference that would make it 9,200. So we have $1,800 discount. Hold on. So we do $1,800 discount. That makes it 9,200. And here we go. Okay. So now I created my three packages. I created my three services. Okay. And then I'm going to go into a proposal, and then I'm going to create a new proposal. And let's say I'm going to pick one of my customers here, and then I'm going to select the services. So I'm going to create one package, and I can create multiple options. And then let's say on option 1 is going to be, and we're going to go here to Essentials package, and I go Add Services. In option 2, I select my other package, which is my Enhanced. And then option 3, we select the next package, which would be Elite. Okay. And you can, what's nice about this is you create the shells, and then you can go in there and you can modify each one separately. Okay. And in here, you can add other services. So let's say we could add a tax return or something like that. I just want to show you this. Not part of what we talked about with ChatGPT, but you have your package, and you can have optional add-ons, which is pretty neat as well. And then each one has all sorts. I mean, like, we'll do a demo. We'll do like a whole hour deep dive into Anchor if you're interested in that, because like you will be blown away how powerful this software is. But just to kind of like show you what I love about this is, so quickly you go in there and you create a package, and then you make it super, like literally your client gets an email like this, and this is how they buy services from you. It's just absolutely amazing, right? And then they'll click on the little eye, and then they can see the scope details. And again, with the 7 T's, when they click the eye, maybe this would say, once you get deeper into it, this would probably say 2 weeks or something like that. So that's the idea, is that the 7 T's help you change the variability between them, and you get all the scope. And notice that here, monthly bookkeeping add-on is an optional add-on of $650 a month. And what's really cool is I can add a bookkeeping add-on to any of these, and the customer has a choice to pick, what sub-options inside of the presentation is. So imagine a world where within minutes, especially after you've mastered knowing how to package services together, you send a beautiful proposal like this. The customer has to then, they'll pick an option, whatever it is. It gives them a summary of everything that's included. How is it being billed? If there's a discount, it's shown in there. And then they go in next, and then literally they go add a payment method. They put how they pay, and then the next page will essentially have them sign an agreement. And there's a built-in agreement, which is really cool as well. There are agreement templates in here, and you can view them. So like you actually can view all the ones that have been accepted by customers in the past, right? It's been signed, when they signed it. And then the customer can, in their portal, can log in and modify any of these. They can cancel their subscription. It's just really, really, I can't, I get so excited about it because it's one of the most coolest applications that have ever come out. And I want to thank Anchor for sponsoring this webinar.